We are getting our first look at who will represent the U.S. at the 2026 FIFA World Cup this summer. Officials named the 26-man roster yesterday in New York City. It includes 13 World Cup veterans and 13 World Cup rookies. The tournament starts, of course, on June 11th, and more than 5 million fans are expected to attend all 104 matches in the host countries, talking Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Yesterday, our Nicole Valdez got to speak to both a seasoned pro and a newcomer on what it means to wear the red, white, and blue.
You're representing the U.S. in a year where the U.S. is hosting a part of this tournament. Does that add a level of pressure?
Yeah, I'll be lying if I said it didn't. I feel like this can be something that could change U.S. soccer forever.
Do you believe that America can win this year?
100%. I mean, I went into the last World Cup believing the same thing, and I don't think, you're going into a tournament with the right mindset if you don't think that you can go and win it, and that's what success would look like. It'd be lifting the best sports trophy in the world, in my opinion, in front of our country.
So the first U.S. game is against Paraguay on June 12th. Let's bring in Tony Meola. He's a former goalkeeper of the U.S. men's national soccer team at the 1990, 1994, and 2002 World Cups. I remember back in '94, that was the first time I got the sense that Americans were interested in football soccer, because you had people in Jersey, who were interested in what Italy was playing, and you had all these Italian Americans talking about soccer, and you were part of that that World Cup team. And now, of course, there's fever all over this country. So when you saw the roster come out, what did you think?
Well, first off, I'm glad you remembered it, so it's not that long ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
When you talk about it, it always seems to get further and further away.
I remember it was yesterday.
Yeah, look, yesterday was a special day, right, for 26 young men that are going to represent a team at the World Cup. And I've been in that position, as you mentioned, 3 times, and you're always waiting for that call, right? It's the pinnacle of what kids want to do when you play this sport. You want to play at the World Cup. And I mention all the time, very few players in the history of our game worldwide have ever played in the World Cup. Mm-hmm. Fewer players have ever played in the World Cup at home, right? And this is a special occasion. And I've been blessed to be able to do it with, at that time there were 23 guys, so with 22 other guys. And it's just a special moment. There's something different about it. Some of these guys, as you mentioned, have already played in one World Cup. The others are rookies. But these veterans will understand the minute they step on the field that this is a little bit different than it was a couple of years ago in Qatar, right? You're at home. There's a different energy. There's a different feeling about it. And with this particular group, there's a different expectation with this group.
Why?
Well, you're looking at guys, we talk about this group of players, the Christian Pulisics, the Serginho Dest, Tyler Adams, Flo Balogun, and the list goes on, right? These guys are playing at some of the biggest clubs in the world. We didn't have that in 1994, right?
Were you guys playing in Europe? And
we probably had about a third of that team that was playing in Europe. If you remember, that particular group was based out of Mission Viejo, California. We trained almost as a club team for 18 months because, we didn't have a domestic league. We didn't have Major League Soccer.
That's right.
MLS has transformed how we look at things and how players develop. I think a little over 80% of this group had in some way come out of Major League Soccer, whether it was playing in the league or in the academies in MLS. So that's a massive, massive jump for us. And you look at, but that's why there's an expectation. There's been so many more resources given to this particular group than anyone in the past has ever had.
Especially as goalie, talk to us about what it feels like to be in the World Cup and standing in front of that goal when you know that the buck stops with you.
Yeah, it's what you live for, right? People would come on your desk one day and be frozen, right, if you did it for the first time. But you've been grooming yourself for this for years and years. And as an athlete, that's what you do. You want to play at the biggest stage. You live and you dream about this all the time. I had a moment in '94. People asked me, what was your best game you ever played? Me personally, it wasn't the one I made the most saves, and I had a really bad moment against Romania in that World Cup, and I bounced back. And I always say that was my best game because I was able to put something behind me. Now that I think about it, I'm like, how did you do that? But I was, a young kid from New Jersey, you were going to conquer the world. You didn't really think about the bad, you just thought you can do anything.
You bounced back in that game?
In that game,
How did you do that? Did they score on you?
They did, yeah. I gave up a near post goal. It was my fault, and it cost us that particular game. But the rest of the game, I was able to compete. And I think we'll have those moments in the World Cup. I think that's what makes you as a player down the road.
So we were talking during the commercial about how everything has changed in the way that young kids today become soccer players here in the United States. But can you help us understand why the women's team, the women's U.S. team, has been so dominant over the last decade and why the men have struggled? Is it because the women are so much better than other countries, or is it that they are trained differently? What's going on? Help me understand that.
Yeah, the only place, I'll correct you, is that it hasn't been a decade. It's been since 1991, right? It's been a long time. They've been dominating the world's game. The dynamics were a little bit different. A lot of countries are catching up to the U.S. on the women's side. But we've had the best athletes play. Of course, when you win early, you have a feeling about your team. Mm-hmm. Like, I watch women's national team games. I don't ever think they're going to lose, right? I'm always thinking about how is the opponent going to beat them, right? And I don't ever go into one of those games, nor do they. They have that attitude. I think in '94 we got a little bit of that where people said, okay, these guys can play a little bit, right? They can compete. Now we got to get to that next level. I thought 2002, when we got to the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
That was a big one.
It's a big one. And if I always say if the soccer gods were fair, we would have been in the semifinals because we were better than Germany on the night. But of course, we know sometimes things just don't go
I was in
your way.
Europe when that game was played. It was insane.
Right. It was crazy. So that for me is sort of the benchmark right now for the U.S. team.
So how does this team look in terms of whether they can actually go all the way?
All the way is tough. We've only had, 7 countries ever win the Men's World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 or
France,
8.
Brazil, Italy,
and it's so difficult. But I think I would measure success by beating that 2002 team, by getting further than the 2002 team. I think at a minimum, we should expect that moving forward in every single World Cup, because of what I talked about in the beginning, where these guys are playing, the experiences that they have, which none of the other players prior to them had. It's great for us. I do hope we develop some heroes in this thing along the way, the Christian Pulisics of the world.
Yes.
But I also tell them all the time, anytime I get a chance, what you don't realize, these soccer people know who all those players are. 20 years from now, the non-soccer person, as we're sitting here today, there's someone that doesn't know anything about this team that 20 years from now will remember everything that happened.
That is the goal.
That is pretty cool, Tony.
Tony Meola, thank you so much.
Thank you.